I don't know how to segue this one, so I'm not going to.
It's fine.
So I need to rant. I need to vent about something that I've kind of held for a while. I want to talk about this in the podcast for a little bit. I
Hmm.
don't want to be like too negative, but like I really feel like this needs to be talked about
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, so this all started when I was looking through this list of Fantastic Four number 11. I want to see what sort of like stuff there was after the Invincible Woman arc with Malice. So I'm reading this solicit for the latest. It's in May, so there's some stuff that has been released in May. They're bringing the new Future Foundation back, which is great. That's cool. That's really really nice. Um, but there's some sort of like side story as well.
Hmm.
It's like a bigger issue. There's some side story stuff, and that's really cool. Um, and I'm also really glad that this Fantastic Four run has lasted more than 10 issues. I'm really glad about that because there's a curse on Marvel where there's 10 issue runs. That's it. Bye.
Yeah.
But there's something that I noticed. There's going to be a backup story featuring a writer slash artist named Stan Sakai. I looked him up. He's worked on stuff like
Yes.
Usagi Yojimbo, um, and on League of Comic Geek stuff, which I use for stuff like tracking my polls and everything. I found this particular comment. It says, "My goat Peach, as in Peach Momoko, helping this shitty company by bringing in artists." Now, I've noticed this for a while now, ever since I got into the Ultimate line of books. I am a fan of every single Ultimate line book that has been released, the new one, except one, and that is Ultimate X-Men. I think that Peach Momoko is, no offense to her, but in my personal opinion, she's very much put on a pedestal that I don't think she really deserves, in a way that like she's idolized by people as like Marvel's finally gonna mangaize their comics, and oh, here's this Ultimate X-Men, it's like a slice life anime, and oh, here's these variant covers, and oh, here's side dimensional rivals, and it's like they're putting her on a pedestal in a really unhealthy way. I think
Hmm.
that in variant covers and stuff like that, in very limited series, Izumako goes fine. But the way that people are treating her is like this messiah, this Japanese artist that is gonna bring Marvel back, and oh, Western comics are so terrible, but we're gonna have the best of manga come in, is a really dangerous line of thinking. It kind of goes back to like some of the core beliefs that Comicsgate really believes in, which is Western comics woke and bad, Eastern comics unwoke, based and good, when they are ignoring series like Zombieland Saga and Carol and Tuesday that feature trans characters and
Hmm.
LGBTQ characters. And I was watching a short about how Carol and Tuesday touched upon anti-immigration and shit like that. There's a lot more quote unquote woke elements to manga and anime and Japanese culture in general. People like to admit.
Yeah.
Um, but there's one other thing that I really wanted to really touch on. Jim Lee, the DC president, my favorite artist ever,
Yes.
commented about manga. He talked about how people are more inclined to buy and consume manga
Hmm.
than anime. And I want to read you this quote. So this quote is translated from a Japanese news site called Nikkei X Trend. And he was talking about his career, current trends, and the advantage that Japanese manga and anime have in Western comics. And I'm reading this off of Anime Corner, which seems like the place that has the least amount of like, this is our opinion, blah blah blah, instead of just give me the fucking quote.
Yeah.
So this is a rough translation. I'm not sure if this is super duper accurate. I'm kind of trusting this source, but he says the stories in Japanese manga and anime are incredibly powerful. I often find myself wondering what is missing in Western comics, and why aren't they able to achieve the same flavor? Also, I think manga has an advantage over American comics, which are mostly about superheroes, and that's where the majority of sales and readers are concentrated. In Japan, it's closer to literature, and anyone can read it. And it's not just hero stories. There's a much wider range of genres, like stories about cooking and soccer. So, soccer, Blue Lock, obviously. But cooking, you have stuff like Toriko, you have a lot of One Piece with Sanji and stuff like that. There's some like cooking, like battle royale comic as well. I am blanking on the name of it, but those stories exist. You can draw stories from that, so I'm very happy that the manga has been so successful because it gives me a goal to aim for. The manga market is bigger than our industry, so the question becomes, what can we learn from this? Lee says it's not just an art style, but the sensibility of Japanese stories, and later adds, another thing is that in the West, comics and animation have been considered children's media. And as people grow up, they move on to live action. But in Japan, that's not the case. Not only is there a wide range of genres, but adults also read manga and watch anime. As a culture, it's an art that isn't limited to a specific age range. So he's talking about how in Japan it's a very different culture to where comics over there, which is manga, isn't just superheroes, isn't just My Hero Academia. It's Blue Lock, it's Dragon Ball, it's Spy X Family, one of my personal favorites. I love that manga so much. It's One Piece. It's stuff like Made in Abyss, which is really dark and depressing.
Yeah,
But
it's just it ranges from age group to age group.
There is a wide range of manga out there. And I think what Jim Lee is trying to say is that Western comics try to branch out into more genres and try to get more adult readers reading.
Uh-huh.
Which is not the narrative that comics wants to admit, which is, woke is ruining Western comics. There's no woke bullshit in Eastern comics. And that's sort of same people want to worship people like Peach Momoko for, we just want to turn all our Western comics into manga, because manga's doing it right. But no, that's not really how it is. Jim Lee has said it's so succinct that it's a different market. It's a different culture. They're aiming for a more broad of an audience, whereas comics have a very limited amount of people. Right?
Yeah, it's all superheroes. It's kind of where it's predominantly.
And there's stuff with Image as well. Image is doing a really good job of branching out their comics lineup. Stuff like a sort of Crisis Events, which I'm gonna get the trade paperbacks of because it looks incredible. Stuff like Exquisite Corpses.
Yes, such a good
stuff
book.
like Radiant Black is superhero, but it's more like
Tokusatsu.
Yeah, I just ordered the next volume of Radiant Black. I'm gonna try to catch up before the next issue comes out because I'm buying it. I'm reading that shit. Ooh, good shit.
Stuff like Chew, which is like a detective, like grimy detective story. Like they've just got like all different stories. Yeah, really horror stories too. We got like a bunch of different horror things.
Stories, anthology, like Twilight
Zone, fantasy, like
comic.
It's just they, I think, are encompassing more of that manga style. Like there's a broad amount of comics where it's not just superhero stuff, and I like that about Image Comics. They did start off where it was like superhero stuff, but I'm glad that they decided to be like, we aren't just superheroes, we're creator owned books, so creators can do more than just superhero stories.
That's how like Exquisite Corpses got such a fast movie deal, was because
and Walking Dead and other stuff that's from Image Comics that has become so popular this day.
Yeah. I think that people are really trying to make Western comics into manga. And I've read a lot of like manga DC and Marvel stuff. Like I finished reading a few months back Superman versus Meshi, which is just about him eating food.
It's really cute.
It's pretty good. The ending was actually really heartfelt for some reason. I didn't expect that from fucking Superman eating food. You have stuff like Deadpool Samurai. You have stuff like Spider-Man Red.
Yeah.
You have stuff like all the Wolverine manga. There's a ton of Wolverine. Japan loves Wolverine for some reason.
I only have
A ton of
two that I know of. There's Snicked and then there's Prodigal Son, which I
Prodigal Son's
still
not
need to
big
read.
enough.
I gotta read Prodigal Son. I have it. I just haven't
But
had time to read it.
instead of literally turning Western comics into manga by just hiring more Japanese people, which feels a
Hmm.
little bit Asian culture fetishy, if that makes sense. What
Yeah.
we should take from manga is branching out into different genres, which I do agree. I also just feel like more people should get into Western comics for uh different genres. Like there are genres that exist out there that people should read.
Hmm.
But I do agree with Jim that like the vast majority of successful comics out there is mostly superheroes. That's what Western comics is usually known for.
Yeah, it's what it
Maybe
was
like a
built
culture
on.
shift. Yeah, I think like a culture shift could be something that we could see in the future. I
It.
know like DC brought back Vertigo. They brought back the
Hmm.
Black Label. They're doing a lot of like there was a
They are the ones
preview
branching
for
out.
yes. There was a preview in one of my DC books for The House by the Sea, I think it's called.
Oh,
Um
yeah.
they really want to really push like, hey, you should be more than just
There was
superhero manga
one
or superhero
for
comics.
that other Dennis Camp book. What's it called? Bleeding Hearts, I want to say. It was in the back of the. Funny enough, it was in the back of his other book, Martian Manhunter. Yeah, Bleeding
Yeah.
Hearts, which is about the zombie who his heart starts beating again.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
So
experimenting more with that stuff.
yeah, but my point is that like comics get bad, comics get stinky, Western
One hundred
comics branch
percent.
out.
100%.
Every time I see a fucking comicscape person, I'm just like, you are so brain dead. I swear to God, not everything is woke bullshit or whatever. It's
Hmm. It's just
and
the
also you're
world.
bigoted.
Yeah, it's just the world. People just don't want to accept that there's a wider range of beliefs than their own. It's like,
Yeah,
you know that your religion or your belief system is not the only thing that is here, right? There's other people around you. You
yeah,
exist.
but also the other point was that like people need to stop idolizing like
Hmm.
Japanese artists wanting to take over like the Marvel sphere or whatever.
Yeah, I
Like
think
I'm fine
people
with what
need
Peach Momoko
to.
was doing, but I don't really like when people put her to a pedestal and be like, "This
Yeah.
is the greatest thing Marvel's ever done." Blah blah blah
I think
blah.
when they are like they look at the Japanese art style and then go like that's more superior to like the American art
Yes,
style. It's like
that's
you need
exactly what they think.
to
That's why Peach Momoko's stuff sells well because people think that flawed mindset.
they need to understand that there's other art styles and art is subjective, but at the same time, it's cool to look at other people's way of drawing characters or like
Yeah,
how they tell a story because for me I wouldn't have figured out like all these other greater artists if I didn't, kind of take this leap of faith and read all these books that I'm reading and be like, whoa, like there's this art style and there's this art style and there's this artist that I like that's so different from this artist and it's not always clean. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's cartoony, sometimes it's realistic, and sometimes it's like a painting. That's the greatest thing about comics is that it's not to one style, and I like that.
yeah, but I don't know. I think the best thing you can do in terms of having, oh, I want more manga in my comics. The best balance you can achieve was achieved in Miles Morales run. Yes, I'm biased, but let me explain. Cody Ziegler was so influenced by manga and anime that he put a lot of references in that. And literally, the last fucking
Yeah,
issue had him slicing up a dude in half with a sword, and that's Trunks.
yeah.
He had the famous Dio walk. Let's do the
He
damn thing.
had
That's the Dio walk.
he had references to Yu Yu Hakusho with the electric sword and to Vegito from Dragon Ball.
He also had a Beerus Goku punching each other thing
Hmm.
from Battle of Gods. Like that is how you have more manga and anime stuff in your comics. It's like that run. is one of the I think it is one of the greatest comic runs, and because the art is so stylized, so much like jagged lines, really colorful stylized faces.
Uh-huh.
Miles is a good character. It's like it's the best parts of what I love about comics, what comics can really achieve without doing like fourth wall breaking stuff like what Martian Manhunter has done, which I love that. But in terms of like just sticking to the traditional medium, it is one of the greatest comic runs I've ever read because
Mm-hmm.
it just it's so stylized and it goes out there and does really cool things. I love that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about the new Miles run soon. Don't worry. End of this episode, we'll talk about it. But I don't know. I just feel like people who sort of idolize that stuff in comics hate people are just kind of blah.